Meedoen. On the ones en two. Pee-wee, what's up, man?
Ja, man.
Ja, oké, man. Ben je blij dat je er ook bent?
Sowieso.
Ja?
Het liefst was ik ook met Dennis mee, maar
Ja?
dat is wel het beste.
Oké, ik hoop dat we die chemie gewoon kunnen voelen, weet je toch? Het is net als we gewoon in de club gaan staan, maar vandaag gaan we gewoon dit doen. We hebben vorig jaar wel een paar producties samen gedaan, of niet? Die open hart route.
Ja.
Oké, we gaan niet te lang praten, we gaan gewoon direct door. En we're gonna switch it. We're gonna switch it into English because we got a special guest today. We got a special guest, and he goes by the name of Tariq Nasheed.
Yes, indeed.
Am I pronouncing the name right?
Yes, sir. You are definitely pronouncing it right.
Okay, how are you, Mr. Nasheed?
I'm good, man. Just enjoying the brothers and sisters out here in Amsterdam, soaking in the culture, soaking in the vibe and the energy. And I'm just loving everybody out here right now.
Tariq Nasheed, aka Tariq Ali,
Yes.
K-Flex,
Yes.
K-Flex.
Yes.
Oh, K-Flex, explain the flex.
Well, that's an old nickname because I used to be real bony as a kid. So I was real bony, so they called me Flex because I was flexible, and that's where I got the name from. And I was also a break dancer back in the day too. I could bust a move.
You could.
I could. I can't bust them no more. So that's where the name Flex came from.
Okay, that's
so,
nice.
Yes, indeed.
And the part Tariq Ali.
Yeah, the Tariq Elite, that's my clothing brand. I have a clothing brand, TariqElite.com, and it's an urban/classy brand. So it's Tariq Urban but Elite. So that's where the Tariq Elite came from.
Okay, nice.
Yes, indeed.
That's a powerful brand name.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Much respect.
I did some googling. Of course, I know the title Hidden Colors. A few years back, I had the honor to work with Anthony Browder.
Anthony Browder, brilliant brother.
And he called your name. Like Tariq Nasheed is one of the guys I know.
Yes.
And if you're thinking about doing something in the Netherlands, Tariq Nasheed, remember that name, right?
Yes.
So
indeed.
I started googling, and the two things that came up were like focusing on dating.
Yes.
African American social history.
Yes.
Dating. Why?
Well, that's how I got started. I got started writing dating and relationship books. And a lot of times, my books were on the bestsellers list. They were selling very well. And one thing I noticed, people kept asking me about race. Like, what type of women to date as far as race? How hard is it to date this race of women? And I had white people who would read my books and they would say, is this game in the book going to work for me as a white person?
Yeah.
I had brothers say, hey, can I use this game at certain clubs because some clubs won't let me in because of my race? So I kept hearing race pop up, and I noticed that every form of people activity, racism always pops up. And anything you look at when it comes to education, racism pops up. When it comes to housing and jobs, racism pops up. When it comes to relationships and dating, race pops up. So the issue of race always pops up, and I just wanted to tackle it head on, and that's what led me into doing the Hidden Colors documentary.
Okay, you've been here like 1 or 2 days, right?
Yes, I've been here 2 days.
What are like the things that especially surprised you when you saw the community over here?
What surprised me when I talked to the brothers and sisters who came out to my lecture last night, I was surprised that a lot of brothers and sisters here have the same issues we have in the States. There's a lot of discrimination here that's hidden under the rug that we don't see in the media. Just like a lot of stuff you see in the media in America isn't what's reflective of what's going on in the community.
That's true.
So this is why it's important for brothers in the diaspora and sisters in the diaspora to connect with each other worldwide so we can have a grassroots communication thing going.
Okay, I'm just gonna switch a little bit.
No problem.
I saw you're focusing on this thing, economic black empowerment.
Yes.
Please explain to the Dutch people, please explain to the community, how can, I know how you guys do it in the States, but how can we use your tools here to achieve this?
Yeah, I'm still trying to promote black empowerment in the States because a lot of us over there, we're not getting on board as far as black empowerment. And just globally, we're not thinking about empowering ourselves. We're trying our best to assimilate into the dominant society. And globally, we've been marginalized and resources have been kept away from us. And the problem is, African people worldwide, we've been so divided based on different cultures and geography. For example, last night at the lecture, there were a lot of brothers and sisters there, and I would always ask people, where you're from? Where you from? What's your nationality? And people would say, I'm Ethiopian, I'm Eritrean, Suriname.
A lot of Suriname.
A lot of Suriname. And I want us to be proud of where you're from, be proud of your particular culture, but we should always conglomerate and circulate and get one code of conduct as melanated people, because we're all the same, because the white supremacists, they dominate us as a group.
Yeah.
They don't divide themselves up when it comes to dominating us. So we have to stop having all of these petty divisiveness, grievances with each other, and start coming together under our melanin at least, because that's the thing that binds us.
If we look at your history, right?
Yes, indeed.
No history in the Caribbean or history, like direct history in any African country?
My history?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've done some ancestry research, and my lineage goes to Mozambique. So, yes, indeed.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I did the DNA test, and they show that my family line comes from Mozambique. So I want to go out there and just buy. I was close to Mozambique a few years ago. I was in Tanzania, and I was just out there
Which part, Dar es Salaam?
I went to Dar es Salaam, then I went to Zanzibar. Beautiful people,
Lovely.
man. Yeah, absolutely. And I really enjoyed it. And later I found out that my lineage was in Mozambique, which is right next to there. So it was very coincidental that I would find that out.
You just spoke about Tanzania, right?
Yes.
I've been to Tanzania, and one of the strongest things that comes out there is Tanzanite, right? I've used it in some of my speeches. Like, I see a lot of black people walking around, but how can we just become powerful black Tanzanite people out of Tanzania? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. What we have to do is, again, we have to stop trying to play second fiddle to the imperialist, because our thing is we will change one imperialist for another imperialist. If it's not the British, then it's the Chinese. We got to stop being subjugated to certain people. Africa has so many resources, and we have to learn how to cultivate those resources and circulate those resources among African people globally. Because that's the thing. Like I said, racism is all about keeping resources away from African people. And we have to understand what our common enemy is. And our common enemy are the white supremacists. And all white people are not white supremacists, but there are enough white supremacists to create a situation of systematic deprivation for African people.
If it ain't white, it ain't right. You start laughing. I repeat, if it ain't white, it ain't right. Your company. So black.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like the Hidden Color series, all black. We funded that whole thing ourselves. A lot of brothers and sisters. Shout out to the brothers and sisters in the Americas who helped me get the funding and financing for the Hidden Color series, because we did it with crowdfunding. We didn't depend on the dominant society, and the Hidden Color series is the most successful African history documentary ever. And the documentary, because it's so unique, it shocks a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a brother last night at the lecture, I think he was from Eritrea, and the brother, because we had a question and answer segment, and the brother, he got up and he said, "Hey Tariq, you know, I'm epileptic and I watch Hidden Colors," and I'm like, where are you going with this? And he said, no, it ties in. And yeah, you remember the guy? And he was like, yeah, when I saw Hidden Colors and I started having seizures. He said the information was so deep, I just started tweaking and kicking, and every time I thought about it, my neck would start jerking. And that was the spirit of domination being exercised off of him. That's how heavy the information is if you're not used to it. And a lot of us are not used to this information, and a lot of us, unfortunately, are scared to get the information too.
That's true.
Because when you get information like this, when you learn yourself and when you learn your true history, now you have to act on that. So a lot of people are just kind of comfortable in the situation they're in. So that's something that we have to look into and take consideration into.
You know, we've been busy a few years, right? And you got this saying, if it ain't white, it ain't right.
Yeah.
Right here in Amsterdam, we're dealing, or in the Netherlands, or all over the world, we're dealing with something different. If it ain't Black American, it ain't right. What I'm trying to say is, you come as a motivational speaker,
yes,
as an expert, right? You see the crowd is just, oh, Tariq, yes, oh, Tariq, that's something good.
Yeah.
But why do you think people all over the world always look at the Americans like, you guys, is it because of the books you guys write? Is it because the history guys understand better? What is it that you guys have and we don't? We don't.
You know what it is with African Americans. What's unique about us is when the slave trade happened, the white supremacists got Africans from all over Africa.
That's true.
And mixed them all together, and they did that in the Americas, because in the Caribbean, in places like Curacao, that's the name of it? Yeah, Curacao.
Yeah.
Curacao and Jamaica, you had specific tribes of African people there. So they were pretty much from the same tribe. They sold them in lots. Now, in the Americas, they didn't want those rebellions that were happening, because in the Caribbean, there were a lot of rebellions, and the reason why there were rebellions because everybody had the same language, so they could communicate with each other, and they rose up against those slave masters. So they didn't want the same thing happening in the Americas, so they broke black people up by different tribes, so we couldn't communicate.
You know, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Yes, indeed. So that was a gift and a curse. The curse was we couldn't rise up like we should have because there was a lack of communication. But the gift was you got so many different African tribes just mixed together as one people, and we became like extremely talented, extremely gifted. So there was a specialness because we embody all of the Africans. And that's why so many people around the world can relate to us, because we are them. And this is why I always say it's important for African Americans to travel here and to Africa and all over the world and feel that family vibe with all the people, the brothers and sisters here. With you, I feel like I'm at home with family.
You're at home.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Listen, we've been following CNN. We've been following the news and this whole Brown case and Garner case. This is
it's
crazy.
Insane. It's
crazy.
insane.
You've talked about it a lot, but what can we learn, especially from the last one?
Yeah, the thing is, and I was talking about this last night at the lecture, in America, every 20 to 25 years, there's a rebellion from the black community. The reason why is because the white supremacists always creates a system of backlash whenever we get progress. And this started directly after slavery, when African people were released from slavery in the 1860s. 20 years later, there was a backlash from the white supremacists. Around 1890, they started to create all the Jim Crow laws and all these laws to subjugate black people more. In 1919, black people rose up against that. There were a lot of riots in the Americas. Everything calmed down. 20 years later, in around the 1940s, there were more rebellions and riots because of the backlash. Black people got a little taste of integration, but then again, there was more backlash from the white supremacists. That takes us to the 1960s. Black people rose up again, majorly in the 1960s. It was riots all over the 60s. After the 60s and after the Civil Rights Bill passed, there was another white backlash that cultivated in a period of 20 years. That led us to 1990s, where there were a lot of riots in Los Angeles, things of that nature. And again, everything was calm. 20 years later, Barack Obama's in office. Now there's another backlash. And all of these riots now and all of these black people being killed in the Americas, I think psychologically that's a direct backlash from President Barack Obama being elected. Because the white supremacists feel like we're losing control if this black person is here, so we have to conglomerate our energy and resources to maintain a system of white supremacy. So this is why a lot of these white supremacist jurors and white supremacist prosecutors are allowing these police officers to murder black people, because it's not just a police issue, it's a white supremacy issue, because the people are allowing them to do it. Just like over here, when people talk about Black Peter, it's not just the people dressing as Black Peter, it's the other people who allow that to go on, the sponsors who allow that to go on. So it's a whole system that allows this Black Peter nonsense to go on.
You spoke about that the police is the new lynching mob.
Yes.
That's a big problem.
Yes.
It's, you know, in the Netherlands, a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You spoke about that the rules of racism.
Yes.
Right. How can we make our own rules? How can we just say like, okay, is there a website that you know? Are there certain books that we need to read to understand these other rules?
Right.
Because right now the majority is like following the opposite rules.
Right. And what we need to do, we as African people globally, I call us melanoid people.
Yeah.
Melanoid people. I have a website when we have a nonprofit organization called melanoidnation.org, which is what we're trying to do is conglomerate all the black and African and melanoid people globally under one name, under one vision, so we can empower ourselves as a family nationwide and worldwide. The problem is, African people, we don't have a code of conduct. We think if we put certain leaders in power, we'll just follow that leader. But what happens is that we put a leader out there in the front, and that leader gets assassinated or his character gets assassinated, and then we're back to square one. Whereas the white supremacists, they don't have a particular leader. Their code of conduct is the leader. Got it?
Yeah.
So if we get a code of conduct, we can follow that code of conduct and empower ourselves that way. Now, some people might say, well, we're in Holland, there's not enough black people over here. Doesn't matter if you're a small group. The Italian mafia, when they came to the United States, they were a small group. They were marginalized.
Yeah.
But the mafia had a code of conduct that they still have today. There's certain rules that they had that they wouldn't break. And they empowered themselves, and they would buy off police officers, they would buy off politicians, and they protected themselves with their economy.
Yeah.
So we have to start doing that too. We have to use our economy to protect ourselves.
So you're saying the number one rule is create your own economy?
Yeah, you create your own economy. You circulate your own money with your own people, and that's going to create an economic base so you're not so dependent on the dominant society. See, that's the problem with brothers and sisters here and in the United States. We keep trying to integrate, but what is integration?
Yeah.
Integration basically means you get to spend your money with non-black people. That's all it means. So you have to circulate your money among yourselves and build that economic base so you can not be dependent on the dominant society, and you don't have to bow down to the dominant society. Because the problem is a lot of black people are so afraid to offend those in the dominant society, you won't rock the boat. You know?
Yeah, I know. You've partnered up with Easy Solution.
Easy Solution, yes indeed.
And,
Dion is wonderful. Shout out to Miss Dion.
Miss
She's
Dion.
absolutely wonderful. She's
Can you
a
pronounce her
hustler.
name?
I don't know that last. I can't pronounce that last name. I don't even try. I don't try to pronounce Dion's last name.
I've pronounced it so many times. It's Abdul Hafiz Khan.
Hey, hey.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Very
can't
good.
pronounce that. I just say Dion.
Okay. You guys did this today is the last event, right?
Yes, it's the last event.
For the people, it's sold out.
No,
It's-
there's some tickets.
Okay.
Like
There's a
20
couple of
something.
tickets left.
People that are listening right now on Facebook right now, they need to see you. They need to hear you. Why?
Because I'm going to talk I'm dropping real heat. I'm dropping real game that we need to know, and just motivating people to empower themselves. And it's also good to be around like-minded people.
Like mine.
That's the major thing, because a lot of times you have brothers and sisters out here with a vision of success, but they don't know who to share that with. Because a lot of times you got people in your neighborhood or your family, they're not trying to really do anything. They're not trying to buck the system. They're not trying to rock the boat. So you can't really chop up game with them. But where the venue tonight is going to be people with the same mindset, people who want to empower themselves, people who want to get knowledge, people who want to learn their history. And if you're that type of person, that's where you need to be, and those are the people you need to be around.
Okay, now something different, right?
Yes.
Because you're also focusing on dating. We already discussed the racism.
Yes, indeed.
Topic, but something that's real hot at this moment in the Netherlands is like strong black woman who can't find a good man. It's a huge problem. You've coached a lot of women.
Oh yeah,
You've
absolutely. I
wrote
do.
a lot of books.
Yeah.
What are one of the biggest mistakes the group in America makes? Who knows that the group in the Netherlands can learn from that?
Well, the thing is, the problem is we've been divided and conquered. And a lot of things that we get are orchestrated by the white supremacists here and in the United States. They will pit black men and black women against each other. They will, especially in the Americas, they will give certain resources to black women and deprive those resources of black men, and that creates a rift. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's a very orchestrated thing. And also, in the United States, we got brothers out here getting shot, killed. So brothers are being targeted by law enforcement. So a lot of sisters out here don't feel protected by brothers. And that's a very valid feeling to have, because we're under siege, basically. So we have to look at it as psychological warfare, and that has an effect on our relationships. It goes back to the plantation. On the plantation, the black female could not depend on black men for protection, unfortunately, because you were on the plantation and you were subjected to the white supremacists there. So the black female had to learn survival mechanisms for herself. And the African woman has always been strong-minded like that. But the African woman still wants that protection. They want that security. And there are a lot of defense mechanisms. When you hear the strong black woman thing, that's a defense mechanism to say, hey, look, I'm trying my best. But deep down, those sisters, they want a meaningful relationship. And this is what I try to promote with black men and black women. We have to create black families. And when we create black families, we create strong black societies. We create strong black societies. We create strong black nations.
Strong words.
Exactly.
Strong words.
Yes, sir.
You're in a radio station right now.
Yes,
an
indeed.
Online radio station called Huddle 20. You yourself, you're a radio host. You got your own radio show. I just wanna feel the radio you, the Tariq Elite fight.
Yeah.
Please give us one or two sentences that you can give us from this station.
Sentences about what exactly? 'Cause I could talk about anything.
For example, your intro. After while you was promoting the Hidden Color Tree,
Yes.
you was like hyping it, right?
Yes, indeed.
So just hype the event today,
Yes.
just like you would do it in your own show.
Okay.
So just lower the music a little bit. So hype it like Tariq Elite is gonna do it in the States.
Well, I'm kind of in a chill, bold vibe right now. But just I want everybody to come on down to the Tariq Nasheed lecture tonight. What's the name of the venue, Dion?
Club Cinema, Amsterdam.
Cinema?
Amsterdam.
Okay, because I'm trying. I got to get my Dutch game together so I can learn some of these words. But come down to the venue tonight. The game is going to be hot. We're going to talk a lot about history. We're going to talk about empowerment. We're going to talk about leadership. If you are a progressive-minded person, white, black, otherwise, whatever you are, come on down and learn something. This is going to be a great learning experience, and it's going to be a great vibing experience, too, so you can vibe with me and other brothers and sisters who have the same ideology, who have the same spirit, and who have the same motivation. So this is a great event to come. It's very rare that we're going to have an event like this, and we need to have more events like this, but hopefully this is going to be the start of something that we can continue. So this is why it's very important to come on down and chop up game with Tariq Nasheed from the Hidden Colors documentaries.
Woo! Miss Nasheed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Man, my pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm gonna see you tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. Much respect, family.